Well, once again, another exchange has stepped up and is relisting XRP. Now, this news just came out, as somebody on Twitter pointed out, that there's, well, not a new exchange, but a small exchange that is adding a bunch of crypto pairs. XRP is going to be one of them. So I'm going to talk about who it is and what they actually do and what this could mean for the rest of the crypto exchanges. And in the case of Ripple versus the SEC yesterday had to turn over documents to Judge Netburn that she ordered them to, that Ripple says is relevant to the case. Well, the judge agreed, and so the SEC had to turn over those documents for Judge Netburn to review, but not Ripple. So the SEC did that, and with it they accompanied a very long letter. And I'm going to go over some really interesting information that just in that letter could be damaging to the SEC's case. And not only that, Fox business correspondent Charles Gasparino has jumped into the fray to cover the story of what is really happening with the SEC versus Ripple and what actually preceded not only the case, but the investigation. So it's nice to have somebody in the mainstream media jumping onto this, and that could add a little bit of pressure for the SEC to just, well, go ahead and settle. And since yesterday when the Golden Cross happened for Bitcoin, it's basically been green across the board. So I'm going to talk about some of the coins and some of the projects that are getting a lot of love from social media and a couple price predictions for them. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And right now on this channel, we are of course covering the Ripple versus SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if you want to follow along with any of those topics, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, and if you're feeling generous, I'd really appreciate it if you do two things. Number one, smash the thumbs up button, and number two, watch this video all the way to the end. It really helps out, and it's the best thing you can do to support a YouTube channel. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, well, let's jump into it. So like I said, as Bitcoin has just had its golden cross moment yesterday where the 50-day moving average crossed above the 200-day moving average, there's green across the board, including for Bitcoin and many of the altcoins. Now, a lot of things that I've noticed on social media, especially Twitter and YouTube, is that Cardano and Solana have been getting some of the most love that I have ever seen in my time covering cryptocurrencies and the SEC versus Ripple case. And for good reason. Those two altcoins were leading the charge in price movements over the last month or so. Even though it's cooled off a little bit, they're still going to be some of the ones that are going to be the best performers. Now, waiting towards the end of the year, that remains to be seen what they're going to be at. However, BitBoy Crypto, who was talking a lot about Cardano and a lot about Solana recently, made his prediction, and in fact, he increased his price prediction for Cardano by the end of the year. Originally, he said $5 to $7 was an accurate prediction of an end-of-the-year price for Cardano. However, it being nearing $3 and being close to $3 already a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like it's going to surpass it in the near future, he thinks that with the rest of this bull run and the rest of this market cycle this year, he's now saying that he believes Cardano will push past $10. And I gotta tend to agree with him on that. That's only about a 4x from here, which for an altcoin, that's a little bit even on the low side compared to what some of the others could be looking at, especially if you're looking at XRP, and especially if XRP gets that settlement. And as I'm getting to my next point, XRP getting relisted. Well, yet another exchange announced that they are going to be relisting XRP. So who is it? Well, it's an exchange known as PrimeXBT. They've been around since 2018, and it's not just crypto. You can also trade commodities, stock indexes, and more recently cryptocurrencies. And they've also added a whole bunch of other trading pairs to their offering, one of which they just announced is going to be XRP. Now this is big because even though they're not a large exchange, even though technically they actually do $545 million of daily volume, this is something that I'm seeing as a trend now. Because these smaller exchanges announcing that they're adding XRP, I think they're starting to realize that this is really good marketing. This is really good PR for them. And that once other exchanges see that, it's only a matter of time before others start seeing the writing on the wall with this Ripple case, especially with settlement almost virtually looking imminent. I think we're going to see more and more announcements of relisting of XRP, especially on the outside US exchanges. It still might be a while for the US exchanges to do it, unless of course Coinbase just decides to say a big who cares to the SEC and relist XRP. Well, we all know what that would probably do to the price of XRP. And of course that brings us now to what is actually happening with Ripple and the SEC. The SEC turning over documents to Judge Netburn yesterday. And they did it with a letter outlining all the different documents and exactly what they are. And if you read through this letter, it basically just comes across as the SEC begging and pleading and whining for Judge Netburn to say these shouldn't be relevant to the case. They're not relevant at all. And while the judge won't make these documents actually be turned over to Ripple, she is going to review them personally. And it's really interesting because there was somebody on Twitter who was reading through all of these documents and they came across something really interesting that's going to be damaging to the SEC. It has to be. So the SEC is basically claiming that the judge shouldn't be doing this because if she finds anything wrong with these documents, that this is going to be damaging to the SEC, not just in this case, but it's going to make it much more difficult for them to actually prosecute future cases. Yeah, that's actually going to happen. So there was a user that made a comment on one of these threads. His Twitter handle is a dingo ate my XRP. And he basically pointed out a sentence that was on page 11 of this letter where it was describing an article that the SEC had to submit, which was an email between SEC staff, which was also basically a memorandum. And later in this letter, it was describing this article or this email that was going around. And it said something really interesting. It basically said that this June 13th, 2018 email was pre-decisional and was essentially just views of SEC staff in the early stages of enforcement investigation. Which, what does that say? Well, enforcement investigation. That's basically the SEC's way of saying, we're trying to figure out if they did something wrong so we can go sue them for it. In other words, we don't actually know if they're doing anything wrong yet. We're trying to investigate if they're doing anything wrong because we don't actually know if they're doing anything wrong because there are no laws and there's no clarity. But they don't want to actually say that. However, the documents kind of say it already. So what this Twitter user pointed out was there is a sentence that was redacted, meaning it was blocked out. We can't actually read what it says. However, we can read before and after that sentence and make a little bit of a determination of what that blacked out part actually said. So the first part of that sentence was the SEC saying that this letter, this email, this memorandum was a pre-decisional conversation between SEC staff in the early stages of enforcement investigation. And there's the blacked out part, which probably said in making a determination if XRP is a security. Then the unredacted part of that sentence as follows: did not reach a definitive determination and did not present any recommendation to the commission. In other words, the SEC staff didn't actually come to a conclusion on whether blacked out statement XRP is a security or not was actually a security or not. They never came to a determination. So the SEC is claiming to the judge that these documents aren't relevant to the case. But this sentence says otherwise because this is exactly what Ripple has been saying all along. They were never given clarity. They were never given notice that what they might be doing was a securities violation. And now on a June 13th, 2018 email, the SEC described its own letter that most likely they never came to a conclusion and there was never any recommendation going to the commission, the SEC commission, and this is the part that we're kind of speculating on, whether XRP was a security or not. But if you want to follow along with this story, along with the rest of the cryptocurrency markets, projects, and everything else that looks like it's about to go ballistic at the end of the year, make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell notification icon, and of course, comment in the comment section below what you guys think of all of this mess. It's just looking really, really messy. Also, let me know if you are a fan of Cardano or Solana, and if you think they're actually going to put pressure on Ethereum, because even though all the social media love is being given to Cardano and Solana, I haven't heard much from Ethereum holders, even though Ethereum holders are a huge, huge community. Maybe that's because they've essentially been given a free pass by Bill Hinman in 2018. All right, guys, well, once again, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video and for smashing that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.